Welcome to the channel Bong Toi Trong Dem. Before the story begins, please remember that everything you are about to hear is purely fictional, created for the purpose of telling a chilling tale, and does not reflect or refer to any real person or place. But sometimes, what is fictional feels eerily close to real life. I still remember that afternoon very clearly. When Minh called me, his voice sounded strange. Not exactly frightened, but like someone who hadn't slept for many nights, trying to stay calm while his breathing kept faltering. On the other end of the line, I could hear the wind rustling, mixed with the heavy, slapping sound of river water hitting the bank. Minh said the riverside house by the Lam River looked gentle at first. A single-story house built more than 10 years ago. Walls painted yellow with lime wash. An old tiled roof that didn't leak, and behind it a long garden stretching right to the riverbank. Every afternoon, standing in the yard, you could smell the damp, earthy scent rising from the riverbed, blending with wild grass and leftover straw from the last harvest. It felt so peaceful that one could easily forget that in the countryside, land has never been just land. On the day they moved in, Minh accidentally knocked over the incense bowl on the old altar. The white porcelain bowl, yellowed with age, hit the tiled floor with a sharp, dry crack and split cleanly in two. Ash spilled out, releasing a strange burnt smell, nothing like fresh incense, but harsh, like half-burned cloth mixed with long-standing dampness. Minh said he froze for a few seconds, feeling uneasy, but then reassured himself that old things break and get replaced. Nothing more than that. The first night in the riverside house, there was no moon. The wind blowing in from the river felt much colder than in the city. Minh's daughter slept in the upstairs room, her windows slightly open, thin curtains fluttering with each gust. Near midnight, when the whole house had sunk into sleep, a faint scraping sound broke the silence, like worn rubber sandals dragging across tile. At first, Minh thought it was a stray cat, but the sound didn't run or jump. It dragged slowly, step by step, steady and deliberate, from one end of the upstairs hallway to the other. The footsteps stopped right outside his daughter's door. 1 second, 2 seconds, then came a dry, hoarse cough, deep and dull, like the throat of an old person who hadn't drunk water in a long time. "Dad, get me some water?" A child's voice echoed in the dark, raspy and drawn out, as if someone were squeezing the throat tight. Minh jolted awake, his heart pounding. His wife also sat up, eyes still closed, her hand already clutching his, fingernails digging into his skin. "Did you call us?" he whispered. The room was pitch black, lit only by the dim yellow glow of the night lamp. No one answered. Outside in the hallway, the sound of dragging sandals vanished, as if it had never existed. The next morning, Minh's daughter swore she had never called her parents that night. She said that in her half-awake state, she saw someone standing outside her door, a tall, thin figure, head bent very low. A rancid, fishy smell rushed into her nose, making her nauseous, but when she tried to scream, the figure dissolved into the darkness. Strange things started happening more often after that. Many nights, Minh's wife didn't sleep in the room but somehow wandered out into the backyard without realizing it. In the morning, her feet were caked with mud, her fingernails blackened. One dawn, Minh woke suddenly and couldn't find her. He ran outside and saw her standing right at the river's edge, holding 3 incense sticks already burned halfway down, planting them straight into the wet ground. The incense smoke hovered low, mingling with the morning mist, the acrid smell burning his nose. "You didn't worship me. I won't let you stay." The voice came out flat and dry, nothing like his wife's. Her back looked thinner than ever, her whole body trembling in the cold fog. When Min reached this part of the story, he fell silent for a long time. I could clearly hear him swallow, his throat tightening. On the 7th night after moving in, Min dreamed he woke up sitting in the altar room. On the altar table, the old broken incense bowl had somehow been put back together, warped and cracked. An old, gaunt man sat in front of the altar, his back hunched, wearing a yellowed hospital gown, a plastic hospital wristband still around his arm. The man slowly turned his head. His face was ashen, eyes sunken deep, lips curling into a grin that revealed two unusually long, yellowed teeth. "This is my land, you broke my incense bowl." The voice whispered right by his ear. "Icy cold like river mist at night. I'll drive your whole family into the river." Min jerked awake, cold sweat soaking his back. From the kitchen came a clinking sound, as if someone were pouring water. He grabbed his phone for light and went downstairs. In the dim glow, he saw a dark figure sitting at the dining table, head bowed, one hand resting on a porcelain cup. When he turned on the light, the figure vanished. The cup fell to the floor, shattering, water spreading across the tiles. Icy cold. And at that moment, Min began to understand that this riverside house had never been as empty as he once believed. After the night the cup shattered on the kitchen floor, Min began to notice strange smells lingering inside the house. Not the obvious stench of rot, but a damp, musty odor, like wet clothes left too long in an old wooden wardrobe. Every evening, when the wind blew in from the Lam River, the smell grew stronger, clinging to the curtains, his hair, even the blankets and pillows. Min's daughter had started complaining of frequent headaches. She would sit studying for a while, then suddenly clutch her forehead, her face turning pale, whispering that she could hear water flowing in her ears. Not a gentle trickle, but a deep, gurgling sound, like someone breathing underwater, exhaling heavily with each breath. "Do you hear someone calling me?" Her voice grew small, her eyes unfocused, staring at the half-open window. Outside, the river's surface was gray and unnervingly still. Min began asking around the neighborhood. Most of the neighbors were elderly, speaking slowly, their sentences often trailing off. When he mentioned the riverside house, some fell silent, some sighed, others simply shook their heads and changed the subject. It wasn't until he visited an old woman living 2 houses away that someone finally spoke. She sat on an old bamboo bed, her trembling hand fanning the charcoal stove. Smoke rose sharply, stinging the eyes. The smell of ash mixed with dry straw and the fishy scent of river water made Min's throat tighten. "That house, it's not easy to live in, son." Her voice was hoarse and low, as if she feared being overheard. "The old man who lived there died young, and he didn't go peacefully." When Min tried to ask more, she waved her hand, telling him to stop. "Mention it too much," she said, and "they would come back." The words sent a chill down Min's spine, even under the harsh midday sun. That night, Min's wife sleepwalked again. This time she didn't go outside, but stood in the middle of the living room. She held a bundle of incense sticks from nowhere, her head bowed, hair hanging down to cover her face. The incense smoke curled upward, its acrid smell filling the house and burning Min's eyes. "This land is mine?" The voice was deep and dry, coming from his wife's throat, but it was no longer her voice. It sounded aged, each word drawn out, like wind whistling through a rotten doorframe. "My son sold it. I won't allow it." Min trembled, unable to step closer. He stood a few paces away, calling his wife's name, his throat tight. "Please, wake up, it's me." She stood still for a long moment, then suddenly snapped her head around. Her eyes were cloudy, the whites showing as she stared straight at Min, freezing his heart. Then she collapsed to the floor, unconscious. The incense fell scattered, ash spilling across the tiles. The next morning, Minh decided to seek out a spirit medium in the district. Her house lay deep in a narrow alley, behind a rusted iron gate. Inside was a damp dirt courtyard, moss spreading in patches. The moment Minh stepped in, he smelled incense mixed with ritual liquor, sharp and overpowering, making his head spin. The medium sat cross-legged on a wooden platform, eyes half closed. After listening to Minh's story, she asked little, simply casting divination coins onto a mat. The coins clinked together, the sound echoing through the quiet room and raising goosebumps. She opened her eyes and stared at Minh for a long time, her gaze deep and cold. A riverside house, a young death, heavy resentment? Her voice was flat, neither high nor low, as if reciting something long known. The old man died young, gravely ill, full of bitterness. Before he passed, he told his son never to sell the land, ancestral land. If it's sold, he comes back to take it. Cold sweat broke out on Minh's back as he remembered the dream of the old man in the hospital gown. The medium gave a faint, knowing smile. The broken incense bowl, the line of offerings was cut. The spirit cannot rest, so it returns to demand. Minh stammered, asking if there was any way to resolve it. The medium was silent for a moment, then slowly shook her head. Offerings will only calm things temporarily. To truly be at peace, the land must be returned to his family. Hearing that, Minh felt like he was sitting on burning coals. The house was already bought, the money paid. Selling it back wouldn't be easy. But if he didn't know how much longer his family could endure. That night, Minh called Hung, the man who sold him the house. The line was silent for a long time. Then Hung's voice came through, hoarse, like someone who had been drinking for days. "I knew it, he's back, isn't he?" A dry, chilling laugh followed. "He warned me, sell the land and he'd crush my throat." Hung said that for months now, every night he dreamed of his father standing outside his door, still wearing a hospital gown, his face ashen, pointing and cursing at him. Some nights he woke up with a burning pain in his neck. When he looked in the mirror, there were dark bruises, like fingerprints squeezed too hard. "I can't sleep anymore. I had to drink just to close my eyes." His voice broke, his heavy breathing clear over the phone. After that call, the nights in the riverside house grew even more terrifying. Footsteps in the kitchen became more frequent. Some nights, Minh heard a heavy dragging sound circling the house, like someone pacing back and forth, feet scraping across concrete, leaving behind cold, wet trails. Minh's daughter developed a high fever, drifting in and out of consciousness, muttering words no one could understand. At times she would suddenly sit up, eyes rolled back, speaking in an adult's voice. "If you don't return it, you'll all go into the river?" Minh sat by her bed, his trembling hand gripping her small, icy fingers. A fear unlike anything he had ever known rose inside him. He understood that if they stayed in this house any longer, it might no longer be just dreams or sleepwalking. And at that moment, Minh realized something even more terrifying. Every night, the water level of the Lam River seemed to creep closer to the front steps, as if something was patiently waiting for the day it could drag his entire family down with it. The heavy rain came just 2 days after the phone call with Hung. Central Vietnam rain doesn't fall lightly, it comes down in thick drops, each one slamming straight onto the old tiled roof with dull thuds that make your head ache. Wind from the Lam River tore into the backyard, carrying the sharp, fishy smell of fresh mud and icy moisture, seeping through every crack, every wooden joint. Near midnight, the electricity flickered and then went completely out. The house sank into darkness, leaving only the roar of rain and the gurgling sound of the river swelling higher than usual. Minh turned on his phone flashlight. The weak beam swept across the living room, clearly revealing strange wet streaks smeared across the tiles, like footprints left by someone dripping wet. From the altar room came a faint clicking sound, as if someone were tapping fingernails against a porcelain bowl. Each tap came slowly, evenly, sending Minh's heart racing in his chest. The smell of old incense suddenly thickened in the air, even though he was certain no one had lit incense all day. Minh's wife stepped out of the bedroom, her eyes hollow, hair clumped together with cold sweat. In her hand was a bundle of incense sticks, already charred. "If you don't return it, there will be no peace." Her hoarse voice cut through the rain, sounding distant, deep, as if echoing from far below. Minh collapsed to his knees on the floor, his mind spinning. He clasped his hands together, his voice trembling, not knowing whether he was speaking to his wife or to whatever had taken hold of this house. "I beg you, I didn't know. I only bought a place to live. If I was wrong, please give us a way out." The wind from the river suddenly surged. The back door burst open, rain lashing straight into the house. In the flickering flashlight beam, Minh saw it clearly. In front of the altar stood a gaunt figure. Head bowed, back hunched as if about to snap. A soaked hospital gown clung to a body reduced to skin and bone. Water dripped steadily from the sleeves onto the floor. The figure slowly raised its head. A gray, lifeless face, hollow eye sockets, long teeth exposed as its mouth curled upward. "I warned you." The deep, rasping voice sounded directly inside Minh's head, cold as the river at night. "This land is not to be sold." Minh's wife collapsed unconscious. From upstairs came a piercing scream from his daughter, then silence. Minh scrambled to his feet and ran upstairs through the wind and rain, his heart pounding as if it would burst. His daughter lay curled up on the bed, her body icy cold, lips purple, tears streaming down her face though her eyes were tightly shut. Outside in the backyard, the Lam River had surged right up to the steps. Swirling dark and muddy, Minh scooped his daughter into his arms, shaking, muttering prayers, his mind clinging to a single thought. They had to leave this place, immediately. The next morning, the rain stopped, the sky was gray, the Lam River murky, the water receding and leaving behind fresh mud and scattered debris across the yard. The house was unnervingly quiet, no incense smell, no sounds. But the silence didn't bring relief. It felt like the calm before something still lurking. Minh called Hung again and demanded a way to sell the house back. Hung cried over the phone, saying he had no money and didn't dare return. Fortunately, Hung's younger brother came back from South Korea to handle family matters. When he heard the story, his face went pale, and he agreed to buy the house back at the original price, restoring the ancestral land as it once was. On the day the transfer papers were signed, the sun blazed overhead, yet when Minh stepped out of the gate for the last time, a cold chill still crawled up his spine. He turned around and saw, on the steps of the altar room, a long trail of water leading into the yard, like the footprints of someone who had come out to see them off. Minh's family moved elsewhere. From then on, his wife no longer sleepwalked. His daughter slept peacefully, no longer muttering about river water or voices in the night. Life gradually returned to normal, as if that horrifying time had never existed. But there was one thing Minh never told anyone, until he called me. On the last night before leaving Nagi Inn, he dreamed he was standing by the Lam River. The water lay still as a mirror. Beneath the murky surface, a figure stood watching him, a familiar face, lips curled into a smile. "If you're leaving, then leave for good." The voice was low and even. "But remember, land has its owner, people. Not always." Minh woke up drenched in cold sweat. Outside the window, the Lam River flowed quietly, as if it had never swallowed anything at all. And ever since then, whenever Minh passes by a river at night, he always has the feeling that someone is standing beneath the water, silently watching his every step, waiting for the day he might return. The story ends here. Once again, everything you have just heard is purely fictional, created for horror storytelling and entertainment purposes. But who knows, out there may still be places where humans are only temporary guests. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel Bong Toi Trong Dem to support us and not miss future stories. See you again in another episode.